Yes, an awful lot has been said about the importance of her faith. And as you can imagine, this dominates the headlines around the world. We're going to have a look at this morning's newspapers here in the UK. And with me to do that, to talk through some of the headlines and some of the articles inside the papers, our reporter Lee Milner. So Lee, let's start with the front pages to begin with. And they are very similar, aren't they?
Yes, unsurprisingly, every single newspaper, every single tabloid leading with the same story. It is, of course, Her Majesty the Queen. We'll start with the Times. Her final journey begins. And if you just turn the page, you see the tributes, you see the thousands of people lining those streets, unsurprisingly. One interesting little thing I spotted here, more than 750,000 people are expected to descend on Westminster to pay their respects to Queen Elizabeth, with queues extending for up to 5 miles. And just to put that into context, it says here that that will dwarf the 200,000 who saw the Queen Mother when she lay in state in 2002. What's more interesting, though, if we turn to the Daily Telegraph, there is the same picture, the same iconic picture there of the members of the Royal Company of Archers, the Sovereign's bodyguard in Scotland. And if you look through it, you've got plenty more lovely pictures. They're all kind of really special editions of the Queen. But if you turn to page 11...
OK, I'm on it.
Keep you on your toes.
Yeah, keeps me awake. Yeah,
we have got one of the most, I would say, standout and unexpected images from what have been sombre days. It's of Prince William and Harry meeting the crowds together with their wives, Catherine and Meghan. They were greeting people in Windsor in a way that, well, couldn't really have been predicted last week when the Sussexes returned to the UK. There are, of course, talks of feuds and unbridgeable differences between the couples. But whether it's a temporary truce or the start of new beginnings, you can't really argue that this is a sign of unity, you know, during which can only be a difficult time for any family.
Yeah, that's right. And that's something that's highlighted in quite a few of the papers, isn't it? It's also in the Times, you know, where it says, you know, William did not want to greet well-wishers without his brother. And you can see, again, it's very similar images. And it's interesting, actually, because, of course, at Windsor, the last time they saw huge crowds there for a royal occasion was the wedding of Prince Harry and Meghan, now the Duke and Duchess of Sussex.
And, you know, according to royal sources, it was, in fact, Prince William who had extended the invitation to Prince Harry and Meghan to go on this walkabout. But at the end of the day, it is Prince William who has a duty to fulfil. As we know, on the death of the Queen, William became heir to the throne. He'll be keenly aware of the roles that he'll have to fulfil now. Also, he has a new and much more important status than his brother, William, now the Prince of Wales, that name that they both, until yesterday, used to call their father. That must be quite strange, to be honest. But it's likely now that the King and Camilla, now the Queen's consort, with William and Catherine, will now become the core group, almost like a separate unit, compared to Prince Harry, who is on a very different route at the minute, you know, living with Meghan and their young family in California with media ventures, charities, campaigns. They have to invent their own post-royal life, which is obviously still part of the royal family.
Yes, and there is some talk about that, isn't there, in today's newspapers. So if we continue with the front pages, we've got The Guardian. So many of them have chosen this same image, haven't they, of the pallbearers carrying the coffin of Queen Elizabeth II into the palace of Holyrood House in Edinburgh, where the coffin will remain until Tuesday midday.
That's right. And if we look at the Financial Times, actually, sticking with the family theme...
Can I pinch that one?
Of course you can.
You've got that one
to share.
Here we go.
Sticking with the family theme, they focus a lot on King Charles and what he'll be doing over the next coming days. Look, he's got a phenomenal task on his hands.
Yes, his schedule is
it's
off
bizarre.
the scale at the moment.
It is, and, you know, he's going to have to... he'll be in London, of course, later on today to address both Houses of Parliament before embarking on that mammoth tour of the UK. He'll go to Scotland, Northern Ireland and Wales. Look, it's going to be full on at a time when, of course, he'll be grieving for his mother.
And the article in the Financial Times, their headline is "Activist Prince Becomes King and Assumes His New Role in Public Life." And this article talks at length about how he no longer can speak so freely on issues.
Yeah.
His role has completely changed. Now he is King Charles III. He takes on this role where he has to be like his mother, really walk in her footsteps in terms of not being so open about his views on the big issues of the day.
Yeah, and as we know, Charles has always believed he should be able to speak freely on these issues, which he feels are important, especially when it comes to climate change. But as he recently admitted that, with this new role, things will have to change. It will fall to other people to take on that role, perhaps his son William. In fact, back in 2018, I think it was with the BBC, actually, he said when questioned whether he would continue his public campaigning as monarch, he responded very bluntly saying, "No, I'm not that stupid."
Absolutely. And of course, he has been very clear in his proclamation so far since becoming King Charles that he will fulfil all the duties and the roles that his mother so brilliantly did. As you say, his schedule is extremely busy.
Yeah.
He's not a young man by any means. If we have a look at some of the tabloids, because we haven't had a look at some of those so far, we've got the Daily Mail here, The Saddest Journey Now, The Long Goodbye. That's their front page. They also have a bombshell text that sparked an unexpected show of family unity. The Final Journey Home says The Mirror, very similar images in the Daily Express. Queen's saddest journey begins.
And just to finish off, I just want to point out, in The Sun, these tributes have been fantastic. Lots of marmalades, lots of Paddington Bears as well.
Absolutely, as you would expect. You are with BBC News.